Now guys, the first question is, who told African police, African soldiers to beat their own, to kill their own? Isn't it this fight against the COVID-19, against coronavirus, is a fight to save lives? But now, when you're taking away lives, even more lives than the corona in some countries, what are you doing? Can this be the end of Africa, the end of our freedom, the end of our democracy, the end of our economy? And can our leaders really resist? Guys, we are not talking about China only. We are talking about the 5 superpowers that run this world, the 5 superpowers that are in the United Nations Security Council. We are talking about the people who run Facebook. We are talking about the people who have power over YouTube. Alright, we are talking about very powerful people who can get this channel closed. Very powerful people who can make people disappear just like that. Remember what Mugabe was standing for. I'm going to take you back in time. I'm going to take you to this video.
The bosses in the Security Council say you shall never have the powers that we have as permanent members. And we have asked and asked and asked. And asked and asked. Reform the Security Council.
Security Council. Which countries are in the United Nations Security Council? We have China. We have the United States of America. We have France. We have the United Kingdom. And we have Russia. Guys, do you know how big the United States of America is? China's population is bigger than Africa's population. We are talking about China alone. China alone is bigger than Africa. You get what I'm saying? Now let's take a look at the size of the land, the physical land. This is the real size of Africa. Not the size that we are shown on our maps. This is the real size of Africa. China, United States, and India can fit into Africa. Now I'm just going to show you guys the size. Now let's see. China population. I want to show you something, guys. This is going to be a very long video. Big up to everybody who's watching us live right now. Make sure you click the like button. China population. How many people are there in China? We have 1.3 billion people. Remember, these are not precise numbers. These guys, they give us the numbers that they want to show us. That is China population. Okay? India population. India population is 1.3 billion. Africa population. Now, how do you rule over a people? You divide them and you rule over them like they did in Rwanda. In Rwanda, there was a genocide that killed over 1 million people. In Rwanda only. In Africa, you see, we're only 1.2 billion people. Now, fellow Africans, I'm going to ask you this question. Are we born to be slaves? Only born to be oppressed? Are we going back to those days? What happens after this? After our economies and our societies are destroyed by the Chinese virus? Do these guys love us? They told us to copy their model, which is seeing armies and police brutalizing fellow Africans right here in Africa. Remember, guys, China is not a democracy. The United Nations say they stand for democracy. They put sanctions on Zimbabwe, on Mugabe. Mugabe is not. How about China? China is in the Security Council. World Health Organization, busy defending China. Do you know which countries are winning against the COVID-19? Countries that are enemies of China. We have Taiwan. We have Hong Kong. Is there a lockdown in Hong Kong? Is there a lockdown in Taiwan? What strategies have they used? And why is China so keen on ruling over Taiwan, on taking over Hong Kong? Why do they want to take over? Big up to everybody who's watching us live right about now, guys. This may be it. This may not be it. This is just food for thought. We as Africans cannot just obey and not question. We cannot just sit around and do nothing. We cannot just obey and just trust. Now, if these guys really love us, let me take you back into time. Do you remember the Depo-Provera injection? Depo-Provera, yes, guys, Depo-Provera is now back. In Zimbabwe, it's now back. Depo-Provera. Why was it banned, the Depo-Provera? Depo-Provera was targeting Africans. It was a plan, a plot to depopulate Africa. Vision 2030 of the imperialist was to take over Africa. Right? By 2030, there was supposed to be no blacks left in Africa. By 2030. Are we going there right about now? Depo-Provera. Depo-Provera was meant to depopulate Zimbabwe, to stop Zimbabwean women from being reproductive. And right now it's back. It was approved back again, the Depo-Provera. Beverly, a Zimbabwean dancer, got the Depo-Provera, an injection which was at a time banned, as it was suspected of causing breast tumors, liver cancers in experimental animals in the United States. But they provided. And people were being forced to take the Depo-Provera in Rhodesia, in Zimbabwe. Kushaya basa. Nekuti mukadzi anobayiwa Depo-Provera. Big up to Noki Hadeb, everybody who's watching us live right now. Big up to everybody. Lyson, Mwaranga. Big up to everybody who is watching us live, guys. This is going to be a very long video, so guys, bear with me. My message to you guys is never forget. I may not be able to make any more videos from today, so guys, you should never forget. Never forget these days. Never forget these times. Okay? Remember the scramble for Africa. All superpowers were united against Africa. What makes you think right now that agreement, that arrangement, that unity that binds them in the United Nations Security Council does not exist? What makes you think that Russia and the United States of America are enemies? What makes you think that China and the United States of America are enemies? Can't you see, guys, that this thing might be targeting Africa? Africa, we are heading towards winter. This coronavirus thing Let me take you back again in time. Let's go back to another black country. Remember the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. People were being injected with syphilis. This experiment, Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male, was a clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Service Health. The purpose of the study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis. The African American men in the study were told they were receiving free health care from the federal government of the United States of America. Public Health Service started working on this study in 1932 in collaboration with Tuskegee University, a historically black college in Alabama. Investigators enrolled in the study of it. It's not 600, because these guys, they went on to do this on an entire nation. Do you see this, guys? Now, when these people were feeling sick, they would pretend as if they were treating them. These guys, they had families, they had homes. Many children were born blind because of this syphilis. We are talking about induced syphilis. Syphilis that was introduced into people's system just for experiment purpose. Okay, guys, let's go to HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS. Where did HIV/AIDS come from? We have this man. I'm just gonna go here. Robert Gallo. Who is Robert Gallo? Why is China selling COVID-19 test kits? They're making money out of it. And they are selling COVID-19 test kits that are malfunctioned, that don't even work well. And we all know, guys, these guys, they rule Africa. In Zimbabwe, Chinese continue to pour in. They were not quarantined, but right now we have Rwandans in Zimbabwe that are quarantined because they are Africans, because they are blacks, like us. So, guys, we all know history. What happened in Central Africa, the Belgians killing millions there. Do you think these people really care? If they care, bring us food while we are on lockdown. Bring us food, which is better dying of corona, which is going to kill mostly adults, elderly, and those with underlying conditions, being bashed and mashed by poverty, or being bashed and mashed by the police. In South Africa, they were using bullets, rubber bullets, shooting people. The trauma that is going to inflict. Are people going? Now this guy called Robert Gallo is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. This is the guy who patented the HIV virus. This is the guy who owns the HIV virus. Every antiretroviral, anything to do with HIV, whatever you buy, that guy makes money. That is the guy who created the virus, Robert Gallo, given a Nobel Peace Prize. Now we have our own Africans who are sellouts. Remember, during the slave trade, it is our own Africans who were hunting down Africans to sell Africans. We will always be having those people. Now guys, we are on lockdown. When the police and the army in Africa are marching down people, they're going to be doing that in townships where poor people live. Not in low density suburbs. Those guys, they have big pantries full of food. What do we have? We have big bodies only, needing a lot of food. So we have our own African, so-called African researcher who educated the so-called African researcher. Now, in 1984, I'm just going to read this one. I'm not saying you should believe what I'm saying. This is just food for thought. My point is, should we just sit around and stop thinking? Stop making assumptions? We have to make assumptions if we are to survive this. Remember, these guys, they took over the entire Africa. Right about now, we think we are independent. Are we independent? They still own the buildings, the big corporations. Right now, my business is closed. I am down to zero. Delta is operating. Their big supermarkets, they are open right now in lockdown. Is Musiama open? No. But they keep making money. Those guys, they have enough to lock down for the next 40 years. Nothing can happen to them. What happens to you and me? Are we going to wait until we are weakened by hunger? Are we going to wait until we are weakened by hunger? So I'm not going to read about this guy, Robert Gallo. Now the biggest problems, fellow Africans, these guys, they brought us the Bible. So that when times like these come, we can only pray. They brought us the Bible. I'm going to take you back into time, guys, to the great Zimbabwe Empire in the 1500s. But before I do that, guys, remember, Agenda 2030 of the white imperialists was to depopulate Africa of the black population, black populace. Only whites were supposed to be left by 2030, but that failed. Guys, how many whites do you think are in South Africa right about now? We're talking about white South Africans. And what's the total population of South Africa? Now, let me show you that these people, they lie. According to Wikipedia, 2019, we have 4.6 million white South Africans. Now, how many black African Americans do you think are in the United States of America? We're going to go there. But in 2019, they say there is 4.6 million South Africans, white South Africans, living in South Africa. But guys, does this make sense when in 1936 there were 2 million white South Africans living in South Africa? In 1965 there were 4 million South Africans living in South Africa. In 1973 there were 5 million white South Africans living in South Africa, and in 2019 there is 4.6 million. Can you see? Is this agenda of black replacement still on? It's a question. A very big, big question. And now, how many African Americans are in the United States of America? Big up to everybody who's watching us live wherever now. They say it's 40 million. 10%. Can this be true? Only, okay, 40 million. 40 million. So where are the other African Americans that were taken from Africa? With only 40 million. Only 40 million. What is the population of Haiti? $10 million. That is Haiti. Is 10 million. Jamaica, 2.8 million. Okay, so there are more white South Africans than all Jamaicans combined. This is a game of numbers. Now guys, what is Britain population? Okay, Jamaica is a very small piece of land. Britain is a small. What's the population of Britain? We have 66 million people. And in the United States of America, we have only 40 million. 10%. Where did the rest go? Where did the people of Great Zimbabwe go? Great Zimbabwe Empire. Where did they go? Did they just abandon their land? Or there was a genocide? COVID-19. What happens next? What if this is an agenda? Can our leaders resist? Already we have our police in Africa mashing up people. We have the army mashing up people. We are having curfews. So remember apartheid time? I call it the apartheid time in South Africa because things were tight. The white police mashing up the black people, the black man. Same thing and thing happening right about now. You see, rubber bullets, dogs. Same thing happening. Blacks were killed. Right about now, are we going to see the same thing and thing happening in South Africa or in other African countries? Fellow Africans, can we afford liberty? Can we afford freedom without food security? We cannot even farm on our own because we are busy worshipping the British. The British support this candidate, so the British this. Robert Mugabe was bringing indigenization, black empowerment. We suffered in 2008 in Zimbabwe. then things were reversed. Now is the entire Africa going to go where Zimbabwe was in the year 2008, so China can come and take over everything? Those Chinese guys, when they come with their own labor. They're not coming here to create jobs. They backed the United Nations. So guys, this is really sad. To those who want to subscribe, do subscribe. I'm not going to say a lot, guys, but never forget these times. Never forget. A lot of things will disappear from the internet. A lot of our history will disappear. Remember, we're saying this is a technology era. Technology era. It might be an era because we no longer keep books. I have my PDF in my phone. Oh, it's online. I'm saving it on cloud. What if the cloud is suddenly, all of a sudden, wiped? Will we remember our history? Zol has just shocked my internet. Fellow Zimbabweans, fellow Africans, Zol has just shocked my internet. I have a caller. I don't know if they want to speak live, so I'm just gonna mute the mic and hear. You're live on air. You know, Rowe, some topic actually.
I know, but in Satita Kure, again, something.
Yes.
Disclaimer, in the
Okay. Yes.
Vanhu vese vari panapa vanoona channel ino ikai tinofana kusupport.
Mazimbabweans are supporting man.
Vari kuAfrica hakuna mari. Saka takapotawo tichingoitawo kana kadhola ka tinenge tavabatsira. Because zvavari kuita is for free, but tinenge tichiwana information tiri kwatiri. Disclaimer, handina kutumwa, but at least kana chero kana takavatumira kana ma-equipments emustudio chaimo yokuti vanyasoripota news chaizo dzichitangedze paAl Jazeera kana paCNN.
Vanotondi replace kwemanje vanhu vachona.
Machiremba.
That vanotondi to replace kwa nemasalad nemaslay queen.
No. We have to support because imwe ndimunotoita kuti tigare tiri in touch nezvinhu zviri kuitika kuZimbabwe. Handina kutumwa. Vamwe vanozogona kuti atumwa audzwa nachiremba kudhefona uchidai so. No.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
At least kana chiremba makaita kana munhu anenge ari kana kuEurope kana kuAmerica moita account ikoko vanhu vokuisirai mari straight muaccount, it's better than kutumira paWestern Union because panenge pane macharges.
Okay.
Because vamwe munhu anenge ada kukutumirai £5.
Yes.
But macharges manje kapa £5 papuka inozosara munosara mane £2.
Yeah, ndizvozvo
You just find a way yekuti kana vanhu vachida kutumirawo mari diki ka vanokwanisa kukutumirai.
All right, thanks.
So regedza tichipinda panyaya dzamamchitaura idzi mambobata nyaya dzebhaibheri chini hatisi kuda kusora vanhu vanonamata. Ini ndotoriwo munhu anotobhilivhawo in bhaibheri, but nenyaya yekutoti ndinotya kuti ndinogona kungotukwa panapa, so I have to believe in Bible because ndakakura ndichienda kuchechi.
Yes.
Unoona chiremba suka tiri vanhu vakarikwa kubva kudhara stereki nevarungu.
Yes.
Vakatibirira vanhu vavaya ndokutaura chokwadi. Imimi chiremba makaita introduction yedu yemusic apa muchiplaya mbira dzenharira.
Yes.
Kune vamwe vanhu vanotogona kutotadza kutokuteererai zvamunenge muchitaura because vanenge vakutoti uyu ndiwo chivanhu. Maakutotanga kutopuhwa mazita because mangoridza mbira dzenharira, but ndiyo culture yedu yeya.
Uye chakaipei chiva nai.
Hachina kuipa, ndiyo culture yedu. Vasati vambouya vanhu vavaya ndizvataiita isusu.
Yes.
Akatiudza kuti bhaibheri ndiwo chairo ndiani. Hapana. Ndipo vakauya naro. News flash, mirai ndikutaurirai chiremba. Ivo kuEurope wakaenda kuEngland chaiko ka machechi avo vakutomachinja kutomaita museum because hakusina achiri kupinda. But enda kuchechi iri kuAfrica unoona kuzara kwayakaita. Isusu tisitenga tangosara tichingodai so tichingonamata. Ivo vachiona varidzi vebhaibheri vakauya naro kuAfrica havachariteedzeri bhaibheri ravo. But ndakada kutaura panapo ndinotanga kutotukwa kutodzi haye uri kuroya siyana nazvo papa vakutotanga kutoti papa. But tikuwaana nguva chiremba dai kuri kunzi maybe pamwe mira ndikupa example futi.
Yes.
Alright, toti varungu vanonamata Mwari. MaChinese vanananzi ameno vanonamata mifananidzo yavo kana kuti anana Buddha chichinyi. Woenda kuIndia maIndians vanonamata zvavo zvanonamata maelephants ayaya. Woenda kumaArabs maMuslim vari kunamata vese vari kunamata macultures avo.
Yes.
But enda kuAfrica only Africa chete ndiyo isiri kunamata culture yayo.
We don't even know our culture. Yeah.
Achiti maona. So sometimes ndipo patino maybe tikutorasika papo because isusu tikupedzera energy yedu kuculture isiri yedu.
Yes.
Tikutoita kuti vamwe vanhu vatopfuma isusu tichisara tiri varombo. Why not go back isusu kwatakabva chaiko isusu zvedu isusu zvatainamata isusu tisati tauya kuzoudzirwa nevamwe vanhu kuti no muri kurasika. And why is it vakangoudza isusu vekuAfrica kusei vasina kuenda kuIndia vakandorambidza maIndians kuramba kunamata maelephants.
Yes.
Vakavaudza kuti namatai bhaibheri. Why? Because isusu maAfricans tisu takanyanyopusa sereki tinongoteerera zvatangoudzwa takanzi idai so tinoenda ikoko takanzi itai so tinoenda ikoko. Ndo problem yatinayo. Takarigwa kudhara chiremba tikangotaura zvedu zvatiri kutaura zvakafanana nyama muchitaura yeHIV chiremba ka. Varungu ipapo vakatirigwa kudhara. Mira ndikutaurira chinhu 1 chinofarirwa nemunhu mutema. Vanhu vatema tinofarira sex. Sex tinoinamata zvekuti chiremba imimika makandisiya nemukadzi wenyu mangwana pamunodzoka munosvika ndarara nemukadzi wenyu.
Chokwadi iyoyo.
Kuti tipedze vanhu ava ka regedza tivaisire chirwere cheAIDS kusex vachapera. But zvakaramba kusenza izvozvo vakazoona kuti no zvakadzoramba kusenza kuti but nanhasi so chiremba ka handidi kukunyepera endai kubhawa bhawa richipera kudai so vanhu vakurwa wanobvunza kuti vari kurwirei havari kurwira musikana. But enda kune varungu havamborwiri izvozvo wakasiya murungu apapa nemukadzi wako iwo vanotomuka mangwana vasina kana chavaita. But isusu vanhu atema saka takarigwa kudhara ende chiremba iyi hondo ikai handione tichimboihwina mungangotauri zvamuchataura zvenyu apa nhasika but hatife takahwina takarigwa kudhara especially as Zimbabweans maZimbabweans isusu titori wese because 1 takaabuswa naMugabe. Mugabe I understand zvaiita Mugabe zvimwe Mugabe pane zvimwe zvaigona zvimwe zvinaitadza but akati abusa for a long time. Saka tiri vanhu vari bhita takawandisa sereki takakanganiswa mudhu yedu tiri vanhu zvinonetsa kuexplaina but hatisiri tiri broken society.
Yes, we are mentally ill.
Zvandiri kutaura mentally ka hatisiri vanhu vari right hatichakwanisa kubatsira mumwe munhu takungozvifunga isusu kungoti hai inini as long inini upenyu hwangu hwaita.
And that's what they want because they divide and rule. Remember what they did in Rwanda?
Divide and rule.
In Rwanda, pakati pa genocide. Same applies Gukura Hundi. Gukura Hundi fueled by the British.
Exactly.
Up until today, Mashona and Mandela.
Takadivide kwa kudhara chiremba ende ndoda kukuudza inhasi ndi April chiremba ka Zimbabwe memu yamakaita inenge revolution ka chiremba ndogona kukupai kana 1000 US pounds dollars or whatever ndinokupa ini. Zimbabwe is broken. Hakuna munhu anombofaka sumudza musoro ikoko kunyepa. Bandi tichangoramba tichingotambura zvatiri kuita zvezvi.
Donge tichiriko.
kana muchiriko but problem futi iri kutoitika chirembaga unonzwa ndaiseka ndichitaura kuti vanhu vanoramba kuti hanzi inini handende kunodemonstrata ndinourayiwa but chiremba do you know kuti life expectancy yemuzimbabwe is 35 years old 35 years old chiremba pamwiri pamumasarwa ni less than 10 years munenge mafa
pamwe 1 day futi
ndoti kuti ndikukushuwirai but manje munenge mafa chiremba kuti muri kuramba kunopinda murodhi kunokomplena kuti no muri kutidzvanyirira vanhu ivivo so zimbabwe hatina kwatinobhoenda tinganyepera nekuti hanzi zvichazonaka mangwana muchasvika kukufa 40 years hamudzione muri muzimbabwe muchafa kusvika mazoziva chinonzi rudo chiremba regedza tichienda mupedzise vhidhiyo yenyu maita mabasa chiremba madairo.
Anyways, thanks. Alright.
Okay, chiremba.
Alright guys, that was a caller there. Big up to everybody who's watching us live right now. Talent. Alright guys, this is about Africa as a whole. This is about us Africans. Anyways, and about Zimbabwe, I don't want to say things that people do not want to hear, but what I can say about Zimbabwe is Chamisa is being made popular right now, and there's a reason why he is being made popular. Vanonzwa vanzwa ipapo. Nelson Chamisa is being made popular right now. That's going to be food for thought for you. Who is fueling it? What happens next from this? I'm not gonna say. Remember, this entire video is food for thought. Enough respect to everybody who is watching us live, who was watching us live. And disclaimer, this is not a news video. This is a food for thought video. This is an opinion video. Alright, this is an opinion video. Rati Zenomsa, thank you very much. Gift Chipato, Emily Banda, Tendai Patson Shingi Zomba, Talent Zoro Ronald. Ratizo says read the Bible is the solution. Bible rakambani mwari nakana mabuka kakwana. Takapo mabuka kashota. Zvaingowa benefita ivo ndo zvavakatipa. Alright. Enough respect to everybody who was watching. Enough respect to Irene Marimo for that $10 donation on the EcoCash. Solomon Glovu and Shurai Mpofu. Enough respect, guys. Everybody who was watching us live. Simba, Zomba, Gift, Chipato. Guys, I'm gonna sign out right about now. Fellow Africans, never forget these times. And fellow Africans, never forget history. What was done to us. We should be very careful when trading with the enemy.